Hey, Basic Math 7 people. Today we're doing the first part of lesson 9.5, and this is called discount and markup. It's very similar to the problems that we were doing on the previous lesson on 9.4. It'll have a lot of the same kind of ideas, and we're actually going to use the very similar formulas that they used in the last one. So what we're doing here today is we have this table in the class exercises. So we're doing class exercises today. We're just doing the first 5, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to help you set up these problems, okay? But I want you to think about it as I'm setting it up. So if you had to do it on your own, think that you might be able to do this, okay? So the first thing that we need to talk about is we need to talk about what is the formula that we're going to use for this lesson? Because, like I said, these lessons with percent have a lot of formulas where we stick the numbers in the right situation. We just have to know what the formula is. So in this situation, we have the old price, the percent of change of that price, what the amount of change it would be, and then finding out what the new price is. And sometimes they'll give us different pieces of information along the way as we're going down, and so we have to do different operations to get to the pieces that we don't know. The first two are relatively pretty simple. The basic thing that we have to do is we have to take the old price, multiply it times the percent of change, and that will give us the amount of change. So that one's the pretty simple one. It's straight across. Remember, we need to change that percent of change into a decimal, okay? So the decimal for that, if we move our decimal place 2 places to the left, would be 0.25, okay? And like I told Addison yesterday, with these, I'm not so concerned with your calculations of being able to multiply right. Go ahead and use a calculator and make sure that you get the correct answers in there. Once again, you need to make sure you're putting the right information in there. Otherwise, you're going to get garbage coming out. Like I say, you put garbage into a calculator, you're going to get garbage out. So you got to make sure that you put the right stuff in there. Now, here's the trick. So if you do this, 12 times 0.25 and get the amount of change, the next part will be deciding what to do with that amount of change. Okay? Because we have to find out what the new price is. That's where my arrows or what it says discount or markup in the book means. So when we discount something, that means we're moving the old price and making it cheaper. If we're marking something up, we're taking the old price and making it larger. So when we discount something, we subtract. When we mark up, we add. But when do we use the subtraction and add? After we multiply for the first 2 problems. Okay, so number 1, multiply 12 times 0.25. Then we're going to take this answer and subtract it from the old price. Okay, so to get the new price answer, you've got to take the old price minus the amount of change. Now, I'm not going to do that part for you. You're going to have to find the amount of change and then put that number in there, and then you're going to have to take the old price number and subtract it to get your answer. Okay? So you do that on your own. And the reason we subtract is we are discounting. We're making it cheaper. Okay? So do the same thing here, but this time the amount of change we will add. So to find the new price this time, you take the old price and add the amount of change. Okay? So old price plus the amount of change will give us the new price here. So those are for the first 2 problems. That's if we have the old price and the percent of change. Well, what if they give us the old price and the new price? Could we find these 2? Well, sure we could. First of all, when we're going from old price to, when we have old price to new price, we could find the amount of change. That's like the old amount and the new amount from the previous one. Remember, we had problems that said like this, it would be like 50 to 60. So our first step was always to subtract the smaller number from the larger number. in this situation, it would make our amount of change 10. I did that part for you, okay? But you would subtract these two numbers, the old price and the new price, okay? So we have a subtraction problem, old price and the new price. Now, in some situations, I always put the bigger one on top. In this situation, the new price was bigger, so you put that on top and subtract the old price. You'll do the same thing over here on this one. New price minus the old price. Okay? That will give us the amount of change. To find the percent of change, if you remember from our previous lesson, it's the amount of change over the original amount. It's a division problem. So we take this answer, 10, and divide it by the old price, the original amount. I'll put OP here since we're using old price. Okay? So the same thing happens here. The amount of change divided by the old price. Now remember, when we get this answer, 10 divided by 50, it's going to be an answer of, for that one, if we do that one, 50 goes into 100 2 times. So my answer is 0.2. I'm not done yet. That's not a percent. I have to change to a percent. I have to move the decimal 2 places. So the answer becomes 20% once I move it 2 places to the right. Okay? Put a reminder here that you have to change that percent to a decimal before you multiply. Okay, so repeating 3 and 4, we subtract the new price from the old price to get the amount of change. And then we take the amount of change and put it on top and the old price on the bottom and divide to get a decimal. And then we change that decimal to a percent. Okay, that just leaves us with problem number 5. Okay, so in this one, we have the old price and we have the amount of change. And then it tells us what happened with that amount of change. It was a markup. Okay, so the amount of change made the price go up 30. So if it's a markup, we can find out what the new price is by simply going and saying 200 plus 30 would give us the new price. So in this situation, old price plus the AOC equals the new price. So that leaves us with this one. Well, always in finding this, if we have the amount of change and we have the old price, we can find out what the percent of change is, because the amount of change is always over the old price. We divide that. So this one is 30 divided by 200, and then we have to make sure we move our decimal correctly. Okay? So that's how you set that one up. And we're just doing those 5 problems today. Okay? So I've helped kind of set these up. You're going to have to fill in the blanks a little bit. But remember, whenever we do the percent of change and we do the amount of change over the old price, we're going to get a decimal, and we have to change the decimal back into a percent. The only real answers I gave you was to number 3. All right, the percent of change was 20%. The amount of change was 10. Okay, give it a shot. See if you can get that going. If not, try to run through my video again and see if that helps you. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to email me and ask. All right, I'm willing to help out any way I can. Okay? All right, talk to you guys later.